Welcome back, fellow notebook enthusiasts. Today we look at what the pinnacle of technology looks like for consumers. Lenovo's newest flagship 2-in-1 for the consumer market just arrived in our studio, and it's also one of the first devices we have here that feature Intel's latest Alder Lake hybrid CPUs for thin and light devices. We will tell you if the new CPU, a gorgeous new chassis, a 4K OLED panel and great speakers are enough to justify a price tag of roughly 2,000 euros or around $1,800 at the end of this review. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to do so while you enjoy some B-roll clips. Alright boys and girls, let's take a look at this thing. Lenovo opted for a redesign of its flagship 2-in-1 this year and added subtle, rounded and polished edges around the chassis. It feels very well built and solid and looks fantastic if you ask me. There's a little bit of flex to the bottom panel and the keyboard deck, but that is totally not an issue unless you're really looking for it. The hinge deserves some extra praise since it's perfectly tuned for such a device and doesn't move around once adjusted. This is especially important for a 2-in-1 device. When using the yoga and tablet mode, it shows that the screen is a little smaller than the base, which does look a little awkward. But it doesn't really matter when you're enjoying some YouTube or Netflix. You probably won't use it in tablet mode too often though, since the weight of around 1.4 kg makes it a little bit of a cumbersome experience. In terms of connectivity, even some gaming or content creation laptops should take note from the Yoga. You get two Thunderbolt 4 ports and a USB-A port on the left, and another USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port and an audio combo jack on the right. All USB-C ports support power delivery and of course DisplayPort signals. The Yoga also gave us no issues when it comes to wireless communications, and the included AX211 Wi-Fi module delivered the usual very high and stable transfer rates. Lenovo equipped the flexible laptop with a 1080p webcam. It's definitely not the worst, but also not the best webcam we came across. But it should be sufficient for your work from home office calls and meetings. Much more interesting than the camera's quality are the additional built-in features. You can easily blur the background with the touch of a button, and with Lenovo's zero-touch functionality, the laptop can pause videos or lock itself when the user is moving away from it. Since this is a 2-in-1 device, you have many options when it comes to input devices. The keyboard features a two-stage illumination that can be activated manually or with a sensor, and it's an excellent keyboard. I typed most of the scripts from the last few videos on it. While key travel is a bit shallow, it still feels firm and precise and is very enjoyable to use overall. The right side features a few extra buttons for the performance and fan settings, the blur button for the webcam and some audio presets. A toggle for the dark mode on Windows, even though I'm not sure that deserves an extra button out of all things. And last but not least, a fingerprint reader. The touchpad is massive and worked very well during our testing. Only the loud clicking sounds felt a little less premium than everything else on the Yoga. To round things up, the display is of course also a touchscreen, which is a joy to use in tablet mode or even in regular laptop mode. For example, when scrolling through the written review for this guy, link in the description. Last but not least, Lenovo also includes an active stylus that charges via USB-C. It's very accurate and feels pretty good, and it's not only sufficient for taking notes or navigating the desktop, but with over 4000 pressure levels, it should even cater to creatives. I did some quick edits to a few pictures I was working on from a photographer friend, and it worked surprisingly well. Okay guys, let's talk display. I am personally a big OLED fan, so the 4K OLED with Dolby Vision support in the Yoga is right up my alley. Everything you do on this display just looks terrific. With up to 400 nits of brightness, typical OLED contrast and black levels, and vivid colors, it's just a joy to use. When it comes to HDR, it's unfortunately far from perfect. While it does get even brighter and does look amazing when it works, Lenovo, for whatever reason, allows HDR only when the laptop is plugged in. It's quite a shame really, because this thing could be an amazing sofa Netflix machine. While the display covers sRGB, DCI-P3 and Adobe RGB almost completely, we had some problems calibrating our review unit. While there is no color cast whatsoever, some tones are a little oversaturated, which is a missed opportunity, since the Yoga could also have been a fantastic tool for the traveling content creator. The display uses PWM to adjust brightness and flickers below 50%. While it wasn't an issue for me personally, if you are sensitive to PWM, you should either test the Yoga before buying or keep the brightness above 50%. Alright, let's see if this beauty can do more than just look good. The Yoga is equipped with Intel's newest Alder Lake-P 1260p with a TDP target of 28 watts. It uses a combination of 4 performance cores with hyper-threading and 8 efficiency cores. So you are looking at an insane 12 cores and 16 threads in this thing. Lenovo lets the chip use even more power with 64 watts peak and around 38 watts under sustained load, which is quite a lot for such a compact 14-inch device. With that much power available, the Yoga can easily come out on top of its class, beating out AMD Ryzen 5000 chips and even the M1 in Apple's 13-inch MacBook Pro. By the way, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our coverage of AMD's newest Ryzen 6000U chips to see how they compare to Intel. While Intel can win the performance ground by brute forcing it with a lot of power, the cores aren't exactly efficient. While the Alder Lake chip consumes up to 26 watts on single core workloads, it's about 14 watts for AMD's Zen 3 cores. With that said, the overall performance of this thing is impressive. Everything you can think of is incredibly snappy and the device is ready instantly. With that many cores available, even creative work like photo editing or even light video editing is possible on the Yoga. In addition, it is also equipped with a speedy NVMe drive from Samsung, offering excellent PCIe Gen 4 performance. In terms of GPU performance, Alder Lake uses the familiar Iris Xe graphics G7 with 96 execution units and a max core clock of 1.4 GHz. It is great for everyday tasks, but of course it is nowhere near a dedicated GPU when it comes to gaming. But the occasional older game or indie title should run well. And with services like Microsoft's xCloud, you can still enjoy some modern games on the excellent OLED screen. In general, the Yoga is very quiet, but sometimes ramps up the fans when you push the CPU, even for short times or on sustained lighter workloads. Doesn't get annoying, but buyers should be aware that fan noise is present. Temperatures are under control, but under longer CPU loads the bottom panel can reach up to 50 degrees, at which point you should avoid using the Yoga on your lap. Before we wrap things up, Lenovo has one more engineering marvel up its sleeves. The speakers tuned by Bowers and Wilkins. With 2 woofers in the front of the chassis and 2 tweeters located in the soundbar between the base and the display, these offer truly amazing sound for a laptop. They can easily compete with the new MacBook Pro models that usually embarrass the competition in this category. With the intelligent positioning, it doesn't really matter in what position you're using the Yoga. You can always enjoy good sounding movies, music and games. Battery life is very alright given the performance and the high resolution OLED panel. Around 8.5 hours of Wi-Fi web surfing at 50% display brightness and about 12 hours of video playback offer no reason to complain. Alright folks, let's wrap things up. Lenovo stuffed a ton of very nice things inside the Yoga and wrapped it all in a high-end premium chassis. The laptop feels amazing to use and the display is simply stunning. It's all backed up by a solid keyboard, lots of input options including the excellent stylus and of course top-notch performance courtesy of Intel's new Alder Lake-P chips. While it is an expensive machine, someone who is looking for the ultimate lifestyle laptop that can also function as an on-the-go creative machine should take a closer look at the Yoga 9i. As always, you can find much more in-depth information in our written review, so please check it out. You can find all the relevant links in the description below. Please don't forget to help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'm Alex, you have been awesome and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.